Well, now, what do we got here? All right, that's enough of that stupid ass thing. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Welcome back to the weekly recap. It's me and Ambassador tonight. Kate couldn't make it. She had to drop out rather recently due to something going on, and we wish her well. She will be back next week along with Novus Renaissance. So, yeah, we're going to get into the weekly recap. We're going to cover some older stuff, just week old, like Donald Trump taking office and hitting the ground running. And we're going to discuss Mark Hamill's boycott of the inaugural, or rather, attempt at a boycott. And then we're going to continue with more Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni drama. But before we do, Ambassador, is there anything you would like to talk about before we get going?
Yeah, I just wrapped up recording the latest episode of the Tarantino podcast with my friend Ace, and I will be uploading that in the next couple of days. And of course, tomorrow afternoon, I will be live over on the Ambassador Wing with this fine gentleman to my right, your left, and my other good friend, MB Geek. And we'll be discussing a couple of films, The Relic and The Count of Monte Cristo. So we'll be starting at 2 p.m. That's 2 p.m. Central Time for all you wacky people on the East and West Coast and everywhere in between. Make sure to tune in and join the discussion. We hope you all enjoy it.
Yeah. So, and as for me, folks, Tuesday will be concluding the January theme streams. I do have the next theme created for February. I even have a teaser image that I will be posting at the end, or it will be posted on X at 2 p.m. on at the end of my stream on X on Orange Hat 2185.
I'm afraid.
Two discussion, and Thursday will be Warm Bodies discussion. Friday will be Orange Hat Uncensored. So with that out of the way, yeah, let's get into this. We got a lovely one going for you, folks. Apparently, well, yes, Donald Trump begins his presidency, and promises made, promises kept. He pardoned J6ers. He freaking closed the border. He declared a state of emergency. He got or destroyed DEI.
Yay!
And he's forcing federal workers to no longer work in the office. I mean, this dude is just going ham on getting rid of all of Biden's destructive policies. And, well, the liberal media and all the libs out there, they can't handle it. And, well, that just happens when, well, I'm sorry, folks, but you guys brought everything, or Biden brought back Jim Crow. I'm sorry. I would rather live in a world that is colorblind, as Trump said. We are going to be a nation that is colorblind and merit-based. And when I was watching his inaugural address, me, mom, and my stepbrother, we're all freaking just like, yeah, baby. He's bringing back, or he's also enacting ancient laws from fucking 1700s. Or the Aliens Act from 1798. It's like, damn. And all of these,
Somebody's been doing his homework.
These governors, yep, all these blue state governors like Hochul and Hobbs, who might actually be the first governor to be arrested, considering that she said she will not allow ICE into the state. Guess what, Hobbs? You may be arrested for hindering federal officers during a federal investigation. along with other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Donald Trump is back, hitting the ground running, getting that wall going, making world leaders shit themselves. I mean, Colombia just recently shit themselves today. Colombia stopped some deportations when originally they said, okay, all right, we'll comply. Then it's military planes being flown in because, well, we don't have enough civilian planes. And he's like, we're not letting you in. And Trump's like, oh, really? 27% tariffs on your entire fucking country. Yeah. Good luck. Well, then Mr. Columbia is like, oh, did I say they couldn't land? By all means, land.
I take it back. I'll even send my presidential plane to help deport the ones that you're wanting gone. I just saw a video by it's a channel both on X and YouTube called The United Spot, and they basically it was a parody of the scene from Tropic Thunder with Tom Cruise as Les Grossman.
Oh,
and
yeah.
JD Vance and Trump is Les Grossman. And the Colombian president Gustavo Petro was like, I'm not taking back. And Trump is like, how about this? I'm gonna do this, and this to your country. And Gustavo was like, okay, fine, I yield.
Oh yeah. I mean, also, folks, he actually Go ahead.
Apparently, Trump was playing golf today, and this was all going down while he was on the golf. I don't know if it's true, but there is circumstantial evidence to suggest that he did most of this from the golf course. Oh, yeah. Send that resolution to Colombia.
27% tariffs. Okay. We got it. But, oh my God. Everybody says that, or here's the thing. All the shit that Trump is doing, he has done more at the time, 4 days.
Now 5. That
Biden had accomplished in 4 fucking years. He almost spent one whole year on vacation.
Yep.
He spent almost 40% of his entire presidency was spent on vacation. That's not Trump. That's Biden.
Yep.
And then there was this clip that's going around of Barron Trump shaking Biden's hand, saying something to him, and Biden smiling, and then suddenly his face drops like he fucking just, like his soul was ripped out of his body. And everybody's like, what the fuck did Barron Trump say to him? He brought a president or a former president low. And I can only guess. My guess is, don't worry, we'll clean up your mess.
Well, there is some conjecture. There is some conjecture.
Barron?
There is some conjecture that Barron was actually talking to Kamala. He wasn't talking to Biden. So I'm not saying what you're saying or what other people are saying isn't true, but there's also another possibility there. But either way, yeah. Whatever he said to either Biden or Kamala, Barron definitely turned that old man's frown upside down. Way, way upside down. And did you notice they definitely kept the Vance kids away from Biden. There was a nice barrier in between the Vance kids and Biden. And here's something I did not know: the woman that walked them out, that was actually Vance's mother, which I actually thought was nice because she's gotten her life together. He's cleaned herself up, and she's now a part of the family again. And here's something else I didn't know: that one older gentleman that's you always see with the Trump family, that is actually Melania's dad. They actually brought them over from Slovenia.
And Melania came out looking like a freaking mobster.
Yes, but also
I mean, Melania looking like a freaking mobster. It's like, holy shit, man.
But you know what? What her style echoed? Classic Jackie Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
I'm not.
Yep.
So there's
Am
style
I
and
delayed?
class and grace back in the White House, and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think I might have an audio delay. Am I delayed?
You're glitching a little, but I can still hear you.
Yeah, I think it's because, well, yeah, it took you like 3 or 5 seconds to respond. So I will be right back, folks. I need to reset. So
I
hey,
will
Mama
keep you. I
Skuma,
will
good to
keep.
see you. I will be
I
right
will
back.
keep
I'm gonna
everybody
reset
entertained.
my thing. Yeah, keep them all.
I'll keep everybody. Yeah, I'll keep everybody
All right,
entertained. Don't worry about it. I got this. I'm good. This is why you have me here.
close that. Yep.
So everybody, while Orange Hat is
That and then
resetting
reset.
his settings and so on. How's everybody doing out there? Are you happy that Trump's back in office? Are you
Laptop.
unhappy that Trump? Are you unhappy that Trump is back in office? If you're unhappy, well, then, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful. Why are you here? Because obviously, this is a channel. Me and Orange Hat are definitely more conservative leaning, not extreme conservative leaning, but just conservative leaning. But are you happy? Are you unhappy? Mama Skooma, I am doing just peachy keen. And Mama Skooma, just a curiosity, the Skooma on the end of your name, is that a reference to a certain video game called Skyrim? If so, give me a number 1 or a thumbs up if you don't mind, please. But yeah, talking about Trump's inauguration, me and Mam Ambassador, just like practically just every other family, every household in the country, was on Monday watching, and enjoying the festivities, enjoying, I will say a lot of people are like, the only reason they're having it indoors is because Trump's worried about crowd size. No, the reason they had indoors, you dummies, is because it was freaking cold as a well digger's ass up in Washington, D.C., as it was the majority of this country. You had a negative wind chill. Do you think people want to stand out in the frigid, freezing cold to watch an inauguration when there's a perfectly good building that you can have the inauguration in? And believe it or not, this is not the first time that's been done. I believe another president by the name of Ronald Reagan had his inauguration indoors as well because of, I'm not sure what the reason was, but I'm sure there was a good one. So this whole malarkey about Trump being worried, Mama Skooma, you are? I do? Mama Skooma, if you went by another alias, please let me know because I'm not saying this to be rude. I don't take the wrong way. I don't remember you. So I haven't seen. Anyway, are we back, Mr. Orange? Or do I need to keep going? I think he's doing one final sound check before he comes back in. Or, well, he's back in, but make sure before he starts talking again. And can we just say, in terms
Sound
of
check.
audio, I can
you
hear
hear me?
you. I can hear you. No delay.
Okay, so there's no more delay. Okay, good. So
Yes.
yeah, she goes by a name, the Sexy Goth, or she used to go by Sexy Goth Girl on here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember you. How you doing, kid?
Yeah.
Good to see you. Been a long time no see.
And again, I do apologize for that, folks. There was a lot of, I haven't reset my laptop in a while. Keep forgetting what it's called, Chromebook. Have some problems up here, folks. My memory has delays sometimes. But
Hey.
Getting back to it, the DEI program that President Biden instituted, and don't worry, folks, we will not stay too long on the politics, but I do want to cover a few things before we go over to our next topic. But Trump basically signed the death knell and death warrant and execution order to DEI. Yay! Now, there are some companies who are still fighting, BlackRock and whatnot. Disney is still doing it.
And apparently Ben and Jerry's, because they released an ad today.
Oh, yeah.
I will never eat their ice cream again.
Oh, I haven't been
course,
eating their ice cream for a while. I mean, they're
Same.
insanely expensive, but also they endorsed a freaking terror sympathizer by the name of Ilhan Omar. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you guys literally threw support behind Hamas and Hezbollah. So yeah, I do not
Yeah.
support you.
Besides,
are
there's
the most-
other ice cream out there that tastes a lot better and is a heck of a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah. Now I won't deny that Cherry Garcia used to be a favorite of mine, but ever since they started that crap, it's like, nope, I ain't buying your shit. But getting back to the DEI program, folks, where they were being extremely exclusionary to white people on the or in hiring practices, which is a violation of the Civil Rights Act of, I believe, 1979. Well, by getting rid of it, you have all these black people. Now, I'm not saying all black people, all these black people. There are black liberals out there and whatnot who are complaining about it. You have all these people saying that, oh, Trump is going to bring us back to Jim Crow. Al Sharpton saying all that too. And here's the thing, they ain't kicking all of, or like Walmart or Target and them. They are not, or they're getting rid of the DEI initiatives. That's all they're doing. And they're going back to the merit-based process because this was actually costing them revenue. They were operating on revenue decline due to the DEI practices. If you can look it up, folks. Look it up. It's all out there. It's open season and all that. But the thing is, them saying all this, and they're like, well, they're gonna start removing shit from stores and whatnot. No, they're not. If the stuff is making money, it's not going to be pulled from the shelves. All they are simply doing is making it so, oh, you're black? Okay, well, you're most likely going to be hired. Oh, you're Hispanic? You're most likely going to be hired. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't hire you on the basis that you're white, and we need to hire a more diverse group or more diverse workers. Sorry. No, they're bringing back merit-based. If you have what it takes to do the job and you are the best qualified, you have nothing to worry about.
Yep.
And all these people who are saying, well, black communities and Hispanic communities and minority communities are going to be most impacted by this. Now, I am going to answer that in a way that is blunt, factual, and, well, you may not like it. I'm not saying this about all black people. I am saying this about the people who are bitching about it. If you do better, you got nothing to worry about. This is a call for self-improvement. If you are afraid that things are, or that you are going to be impacted, improve yourself. Break free of all those stupid ass racial stereotypes and show that you are more than just your skin color. You don't get to play the victim card anymore. You don't get to play the race card anymore. We're done with that shit. That era died with the Biden Reich because we are going back to merit-based. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're just going to be hiring white people. No. However, you may see a decline in minority hirings due to the fact that somebody might just be a little bit better at the job than you are. It all depends on the individual. That's what Trump is doing. He is bringing it back to, are you good enough for the job? Are you the best qualified for the job? Because apparently people haven't been paying attention. And when I say you people, I mean viewers and whatnot. When it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is the biggest lie ever told. They want to make everybody make the same no matter what their qualifications. The wage gap is bullshit. Or to give you a good example, say that there's this man who is working this job, this position, and a woman gets brought in on the starter position of the same position. This man has been working there for 10 years or whatever, add a number, and she is just starting and she's not making the same amount of money that he is. And they're saying, woe is me, he's making more, a man makes more than I do, it needs to be equal. Well, when you get 10 years of experience, he will have 20 and he will continue to make more money. But here's the thing, record what he is making at the 10-year mark and then find out what you're making after 10 years. You may find out it's the same fucking number. Also, when it comes to female sports and whatnot, when it comes to the sports situation, you are going strictly by the supply and demand. If your demand is for shit because nobody cares about female sports as much as they do about men's sports, that's just a fact, folks. That ain't me shitting on them. That's just a fact. Also, Megan Rapinoe constantly kneeling during the national anthem turns people away from those sports and whatnot. And while they're not making enough money to, well, receive the amount of money that they are, but that's also what and whatnot. That's what all that is for. There's another word that I'm franchising and whatnot. And here's the thing, bringing it back to Trump, he's getting rid of, well, skin color is no longer going to play a basis in the process of employment. You either are right for the job or you are not. And those who are fighting this process will most likely be brought to court for violation of civil liberties. You can try to hide it, but here's the thing. You are announcing that you are fighting against this process. BlackRock, you announced that you are going to keep going along with the DEI program, regardless of the federal ban. Okay, guess what? When you are brought to trial for civil liberty violation, that will be used as, or your defiance of it will be used as the proof that you are engaged in it, no matter how cleverly you try to hide it. Same goes for all those other initiatives. Ambassador, would you like to weigh in?
Well, as far as DEI goes, this whole monstrosity was, well, anybody with half a brain or a fully functioning brain can see it was a bad idea to begin with. And the idea of basing a person being hired purely on ability and merit, it may not necessarily be an equal playing field, but it is a much more, and I'm going to use the word, equitable and fair playing field. Because if you have the skills and you have the experience to do a job, more than likely you're going to get the job. You don't have the experience, well, you can go learn a trade, you can go learn a skill, you can improve yourself, you can do better in life, and then you can go back and apply for that job, provided it's still open. And very well, maybe, or there may be more than one position for it. As far as these companies that are wanting to buck the system, well, as the current acronym goes, FAFO. And if the president of Colombia is any indication of what happens when you FAFO with the current administration and the current state of the government, which is, granted, it's going to take a while for it to get fully reformed to something that resembles something a lot more fair and not corrupt. Well, keep FAing and FOing around, and eventually you're going to run out of chances to FA and FO because your business is going to probably go under, or you're going to be prosecuted. Now, whether that's fines, whether that's time incarcerated, whatever the case may be, you're going to be in a big heap of trouble. And you got no one to blame but yourself. One other thing I did want to comment on, depending on if you want to move on or not, but I have to admit, I've been watching several videos involving Tom Holman and the deportation efforts across the country. And they're up in the city of Big Shoulders, and the Windy City, that of course being Chicago. And they're going in there to bust heads, and I just have got to say it. I know it's probably on everybody's mind since Tom Holman became the border czar. That man is a living, walking bulldog. He is a human personification of a character we're going to be discussing later. That, of course, being Draco. He breathes fire and he eats corrupt evil knights, and I'm here for it. Hey, right, Kitty? How you doing, kid? So I'll stop there.
Speaking on the ice thing, before we move on to Mark Hamill, because Mark Hamill does play a bit into this. But speaking about ice and whatnot, they are Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, that works with the Mexican cartel. Allegedly, I have to say that legally, folks. Allegedly, works with the Mexican cartel for trafficking and whatnot. She has said, we will not allow ICE into Arizona. Not on my watch. We won't allow you to do it. Well, here's the thing. If Katie Hobbs does try to prevent them from going in, let's see here. I'm going to pull this up. Yeah, James Woods posted this on X. Bringing in and harboring certain aliens. Number 8 U.S. Code 1324A1A 4. Any person who encourages or induces an alien to come to, enter, or reside in the United States, knowing or in reckless disregard for the fact that such coming to, entry, or residence will be in violation of law shall be punished as provided. Imprisoned not more than 5 years. In the case of a violation in which the offense was for the purpose of commercial or financial gain, imprisoned not more than 10 years. In the case of a violation during and in relation to which the person causes serious bodily injury to or places in jeopardy the life of any person, imprisoned not more than 20 years. In the case of violation resulting in the death of any person, be punished by death or imprisoned for any term of years or for life. United States v. Hansen, 599 U.S. 762. During the year 2023, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the state and affirmed the 20-year sentence of Hamill Hansen for multiple counts of mail fraud, wire fraud, and encouraged or inducing illegal immigration for financial gain. So here's the thing, Katie Hobbs. If there is any illegal alien that has committed any violence, you are about to serve a 10-year federal sentence. If they killed a person in your state, you will be doing a 20-year sentence, most likely. Or no, you'll be doing 20 years if they hurt a person, seriously hurt them. If an illegal alien kills a person in the state of Arizona during your governorship while you're trying to keep ICE at bay, guess what? You're going to prison for life under federal prison, under federal charges. Here is the thing, folks. If you are going to fuck around, you are going to find out. Much like that big old red-haired motherfucker in the 13th Warrior, where what's his name knelt down during the 3 Shield contest, and dude went to kill him. He dodged and quickly removed his head from his shoulders, and then threw a bunch of money at the prince of the realm, and he's like, "See to your friend, he was a brave man." Yeah, that's because, or he was basically paying for the dude's funeral.
Yep.
And also, it was expensive due to the fact that, well, he would have been a good warrior to fight against the oncoming horde that was coming in the movie. But I digress. The point is, Holman's not playing around. He has the full backing of the United States government and federal law. There was recently a hoax of an ice raid in Chicago, in which somebody showed up at the school, and it turned out it wasn't ICE, it was actually the Secret Service. But because somebody lied about all of this, the news got wind of this and tried saying, "Oh, they're trying to come after the kids in schools." And they also revealed that there was a lot of money spent on protocols to prevent ICE from entering these schools. Well, we now know why Chicago's educational program is in the gutter, because they would rather protect illegal aliens rather than educate children.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I read a report sometime back. I could be wrong, so do not take this to heart. Take it with a grain of sand. I believe some of these kids that graduated high school in Chicago graduated with a grade school reading level.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, but let's move on. Thank you to President Trump for your hard work and continued work. I love what you are doing, and I hope you continue to do it. Getting back to it, moving on to our next topic, due to the fact that, as I said, some celebrities couldn't handle the fact that Donald Trump won the election and whatnot. It seems that Mark Hamill, everybody's favorite Jedi from Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, the embodiment of hope in Star Wars. In reality, he is the embodiment of selfish stupidity. Well, he said he was going to boycott the inauguration of Donald Trump last weekend, or last Monday that just passed. And well, here's the thing. He's like, I'm going to be off for 24 hours. I will not be on social media. And less than 8 hours after that declaration, he posts. What did he post, mind you? Well, let's take a look at this story. So glad you all asked. Mark Hamill announces he will protest Trump's inauguration by quitting social media for 1 week, rather. 1 week! Not 1 day, 1 week. Then posts again 8 hours later. So, let's get into this article. This is from Fandom Pulse. Author unknown. Star Wars actor Mark Hamill has been one of the most Trump deranged of all celebrities, and now he claimed to be quitting social media for the next week to protest Trump's inauguration, and then came back online within hours in a show of his weak will. Oof. During the election, Mark Hamill posted such deranged content about Donald Trump that it appeared to many that he was working for Biden or Harris campaign as a paid contributor. First, Mark Hamill became the poster child for Joe Biden's campaign, as infamously went on to the White House and announced that he considered Biden to be Joby-Wan Kenobi. In one of the saddest moments in political history since Hillary Clinton announced Pokemon Go to the polls in her 2016 campaign. That is disgusting. Once the campaign drew to its climax, Mark Hamill started making bizarre posts about Trump's his penis size. I'm sorry, folks, but that's the word that is said in this article, so I am going to repeat it. As he showed he had no class and nothing about or was out of bounds for the former Star Wars actor. Well, this is also considering that he also made fun of one of Donald Trump's kids who was dressed up as a stormtrooper.
I remember that. Yeah. I think
now
that
he
was
did,
Ivanka,
obviously. Yeah, Ivanka's son. Now he did come back or walk that back and apologize. And it's like, yeah, it's too late, dude. Internet's forever. After the election, however, Hamill followed the trend of many Hollywood celebrities blaming X for the election of Donald Trump and Elon Musk by proxy, and be virtue signaled by saying he was going to leave X for Blue Sky, saying, now I've fled Leon's sight for bluer skies. And I'm sure I'll be called an XX, but personally, I'll always consider myself a Twitter quitter. You know what, dude? Nobody misses you.
Not really.
And apparently, Mama Skooma, you can actually put that up. Yeah, she's met apparently Mark Hamill, and apparently in person he's a dick, or he's a d-bag. He's a dick bag. Yeah,
Douchebag.
douchebag, dick bag. Who cares? But the point is, she met him, and well, she can confirm. After he announced that he was quitting X, or quitting on X, Mark Hamill showed he had no willpower to remain that way, posting within hours to his account. Though he eventually did drop the site, as having not paused as of this writing since November 6th, 2024. Yesterday, however, he announced he would be making a new pointless protest on Blue Sky, where he was significantly less followers and interaction. He said, from midnight tonight until next Saturday morning, there's no TV, no internet, no social media, no nothing for me. Symbolic protest is better than none at all. 5-day blackout. Dude, you can't even fucking count, can you? A week is 7 days. Which he posted along with an all-black image. Oh, it does look like Godzilla's skin there, but whatever. Anyway, if he wasn't sad enough in posting this, a mere 8 hours later, he broke his own social media promise of a symbolic protest by making some ridiculous claim about justice coming. Justice is coming, eventually. Martin Luther King Day 2025, he posted about with an image with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. And this is why I wish that Kate was here, because she would have exposed a little bit about Martin Luther King Jr. now that his files have been released. Apparently, he had a dark side, folks. He was rather demeaning to women in rather sexual ways.
If that report is actually true, that is, because remember, it was done by the old FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, and we all know how J. Edgar felt about people of a darker
Other
skin
people that were not, yeah. He was a well-known racist.
So we don't even know if that's
sorry.
we don't even know if that's necessarily true. But anyway, I digress as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he said, quietly endure, silently suffer, and patiently wait. Now, it says right here, folks, surfer. That's an edit problem on Fandom Pulse, so you guys might want to work on that. And both are ironic that Hamill posts this to silently suffer as he breaks his own vow of silence on social media within hours, claiming he was going to do it. On top of the social media irony, the amount of pardons Joe Biden issued people who haven't even been accused of crimes. By the way, that is unconstitutional. You actually have, under law, you have to be charged with something in order to be pardoned. All Congress needs to do is challenge it, bring it to the Senate. The Senate will confirm that those pardons are unconstitutional. Bring it to the Supreme Court. There you go. Fauci can go to prison. I love that. But yeah. We all heard that guy admit out loud on staging twice yesterday that he cheated in the election, rigged it, and we all heard that, correct? Yeah. This is all separate stuff, but yeah, apparently Mark Hamill just doesn't know how to keep his word.
Protest? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to protest. I mean, dude, you can't even protest correctly. To think I actually, well, I will always enjoy the characters that Mark Hamill has brought to the screen. He is always going to be, well, his character, Luke Skywalker, will always be important. His voice acting skill is always going to be important. But the man in real life, as confirmed by Mama Skooma in the chat, he's an asshole. He's a douchebag. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Well, I always appreciate the character of Luke Skywalker. Sure. Well, I always appreciate the character of the Joker and all the other voices that Mark Hamill's done throughout his career, sure. Does that necessarily mean I want to have anything to do with him as a person in real life? No. I wouldn't even ask for his autograph at this point. But talking about canceling and protesting all this stuff, they tried ever so hard to boycott and cancel Carrie Underwood. This is a brief aside. Everything because obviously she sang at the inauguration. She sang "America the Beautiful," and she ended up having to do a cappella, and she nailed it. And this woman, Carrie Underwood, very apolitical, very talented singer. I've always been a fan of hers for years, and I'm not even that big of a country music fan, but she nailed it on inauguration day. And this woman is cancellation proof. She is literally too big to be canceled. She's too big to fail. She's just a boss, and she nailed it on the inauguration day.
Yep.
So you got one celebrity who's a complete and total d-bag. You've got another one who is complete and total delight, and I would imagine is completely and totally delightful in real life, as long as you don't push too hard.
Yeah. So moving on, because we've given Mark Hamill enough attention, it seems that the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively stuff is continuing going on. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have been covering this over the last couple weeks on the weekly recap. Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively did a movie together. It Ends With Us, or whatever it's called, about women, some sort of weird shit. But the thing is, Blake Lively has accused Mr. Baldoni of sexual harassment and coming into her trailer while she was breastfeeding her child and whatnot. And this stuff is continuing to come up or go on. So I got this article here. Let's see here. Okay. From That Park Place. Justin Baldoni unleashes behind-the-scenes video to counter Blake Lively's explosive allegations. Now, I am not going to show you the video due to a copyright issue. However, I will cover the article. The fiery legal feud between It Ends With Us co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has taken another dramatic twist, thanks to the newly released behind-the-scenes film footage from this production. Baldoni claims that it debunks Lively's accusations of sexual harassment on set. The nearly 10-minute video shared by Baldoni's legal team features a slow dance scene between Lively's Lily Bloom and Baldoni's character, Riley Kincaid. Lively previously cited the scene in her lawsuit, accusing Baldoni of making inappropriate comments about her fragrance during filming. However, the footage, which includes mic'd up audio of both actors, appears to show a collaborative atmosphere as the pair discuss camera angles, lighting, and choreography. Baldoni's case, proof of professionalism. The video opens with a title card of Baldoni's team stating that the footage demonstrates mutual respect and professionalism. In one moment, Lively jokes about her spray tan rubbing off on Baldoni, and in another, she comments on his beard irritating her during a kiss sequence. What beard? That's like 5 o'clock shadow.
Well, yeah. They can be very rough 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. I mean, sure, it might be a little rough, but yeah. Baldoni's team argues that this casual banter is inconsistent with Lively's claims of inappropriate behavior. Additionally, the video includes a moment where Lively teases Baldoni about his nose, jokingly suggesting he take a month off production to get a nose job. While Lively ends the comment with "just kidding," Baldoni's lawsuit cites this exchange as an example of the tense dynamic between the two stars. The footage also offers a glimpse into the creative tensions that plague the production. Baldoni and Lively can be seen discussing whether their characters should speak or simply gaze into each other's eyes during the scene. The final edit ultimately used only video footage with their audio removed, or a decision that highlights growing creative differences between the two. The legal and public relations battle. The release of the Baldoni Lively footage marks the latest move in a legal battle that has already seen lawsuits, countersuits, and massive financial claims. Baldoni has accused Lively, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and others targeting him with a defamation campaign. He has filed a $400 million lawsuit against them. He has also filed an additional $250 million lawsuit targeting the New York Times. Meanwhile, Lively's lawsuit filed in California Civil Rights Department. Oh shit, he's fucked. And later.
Well, it looks like it's just me for the moment. So, just to give my comments briefly on this, Mamas Kuma, I don't think he's doing this just for the attention. To be honest with you, a 10-minute video is not going to show the totality of a production that went on for months, literally months. So, whatever cockamamie video that Baldoni's team has released, whether it is just an official behind the scenes video or something else entirely. Oh, he's back. I'll just finish this thought.
Sorry for that, folks. For some weird reason, I was kicked out of the stream. So I am sorry for that. Let me pull the article back up. I do apologize. Please tell me where I left off, Ambassador.
Oh, how did we get here? I think is where you were at, or close to that.
All right. So, yeah. Say anything about California civil lawsuit?
Yes, that was where you dropped out.
All right. Meanwhile, Lively's lawsuit filed within California Civil Rights Department later escalated to federal court, accuses Baldoni of harassment and engaging in abuser playbook tactics. The actress has yet to respond publicly to the released footage, though her representatives declined to comment on the matter. How did we get here? The feud between Lively and Baldoni first became public when Lively filed a complaint with the California Civil Rights Department. Yeah, they don't play over there, folks. California tends to be very, very biased in certain or for the woman in courts. Followed by a federal lawsuit on the New York Times or on New Year's Eve accusing Baldoni of inappropriate behavior during filming of It Ends With Us. Baldoni responded with his own $400 million defamation lawsuit and extortion suit targeting Lively, Reynolds, and others. So the controversy reached new levels when Baldoni's lawyer, Ryan Friedman, sent in litigation hold letter to Marvel, alleging Deadpool character Nicepool, played by Reynolds, was a parody intended to mock Baldoni. So, yeah, we already covered that last week, the whole Nicepool situation. And hello to Sakura Mita. Sorry for dipping out unintentionally. But this is why I think they should be rolling cameras behind the scenes just to keep these kind of things out of court and people honest. Yeah, here's the thing. I also believe that every state should be a one-party state when it comes to recording and whatnot. Recording conversations and other things, because that way you don't need both parties' consent. So I'm not sure of California's consent dictation or directives, but I do believe that, well, yeah. Releasing this footage, objectively speaking, folks, we all know that there are multiple takes to certain scenes. They are seen, or they are showed here, or they are showed, they're this, they're that. This is only showing one take of those scenes, or of that scene, or of that behind the scenes. They're not showing everything in that video. It can be used as, or I don't know if that can actually be used as credible, or as a credible source of countering Lively. Baldoni is literally bringing twigs against an axe here. Ambassador, your thoughts?
Well, I had started to say that when you accidentally dropped out. Baldoni's legal team doesn't seem to have a very good grasp of what the ideas of credible and substantial evidence actually is. A production like this on a movie, there's going to be hours upon hours upon hours of footage that is produced, and a measly 10-minute behind the scenes sizzle reel or whatever this is not going to hold up to any degree in court. And any lawyer or legal team that thinks so is daft. Quite frankly, it's just preposterous. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the biggest legal expert in the world, but I have a good baseline idea of what would be the substantial evidence to present in court and what wouldn't be. This doesn't even meet the I don't even think this would meet the level of expectations or whatever legal term they would have for credible evidence to counter Lively's claims that Baldoni was inappropriate and potentially misogynistic towards her, especially since she has filed this in California's civil rights court. She's saying that he went after her on the basis of her civil rights as a woman. And you're right. California, they're a lot more left leaning. They're more likely to believe the woman than they are the man. And considering the level of live, I know this won't necessarily play a big part, but it will play somewhat of a part. When you've got one half of a power couple like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and then you've got this other guy, Baldoni, on the other side, they're going to be able to have a lot more ammunition. They're going to have a lot more people able to come to their aid in terms of character witnesses stating how they are as people in public and possibly in private. Baldoni ain't going to have that. Not even close to it. And he could get buried up to his ass for months. His legal team may say, "Yeah, we ain't got a case here, boss. We're gonna have to drop it. We're gonna have to settle or something else." So that's my thoughts on the situation.
Well, folks, now that we are done with, honestly, I think this whole Baldoni Lively thing is gonna, it's a waste of their money, because when it, as I said, I defended Baldoni with the whole breastfeeding in a trailer issue. If you are discussing matters that are important to a movie, remember that you were on a schedule. Now, if he came in, looked away while he was discussing it, it's like, look, this is important stuff. We have to discuss it. I am sorry if you are feeding your child, but some of the stuff just can't wait, you know? So, yeah, I think that this stuff should be discussed and whatnot. If that is the case, okay. But the point of the matter is, whatever is going on between these two, if Deadpool and Wolverine was tainted due to the fact that Ryan Reynolds wanted to make fun of a fucking actor or make fun of Baldoni by using Nice Pool, if it does turn out that that is the cause, then I will be changing my subjective review for Deadpool and Wolverine. Because that shows that there is agenda-driven nonsense in the film. So, with that out of the way, let's go into our movie discussion.
Yay!
We are going to be discussing this gem, folks.
From 1996.
Yep. I saw this movie in theaters. It was such a great movie.
Yeah, yep, and
I absolutely love it. I mean,
not to mention
1996. Yeah, I was 11 years old.
I was let's see, 96. I was a junior in high school. I was like 16 or 17. Good grief, I really am older than you. Oh, good
Yeah.
grief. You were only
But
11.
yeah,
I was in high school.
yep. But this
Anyway,
movie,
moving on.
yeah, I love this movie because one, it really does have good CGI. Even today, the
Yes.
CGI isn't really that bad. It's kind of held up. They also
Yeah.
used on-set practical effects like the giant hand when he pins him down to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The writing, it has a comedic edge to it. Pete Postlethwaite, man. Oh, I love him as Brother Gilbert. Pete Postlethwaite is, he is literally an over or underappreciated actor.
He is very much so.
One of his last movies that I saw him in was I believe it was Clash of the Titans. I don't think that was his last. I don't think that was his last movie, but I do believe that
he did.
Or that was the last one that I saw that he was in before he passed.
I think you're right because he played Perseus's adopted father.
Well,
father. Adopted father. Yeah, he was great in that.
Good to see Price is Right.
Hey, Price. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah. And so the thing is, with this movie, Dennis Quaid, they were trying to give him his due diligence and his due respect, which Dennis Quaid is a great actor. Yes, he should have gotten a lot more roles in a lot more leading roles and whatnot. But I loved him in Frequency as well. He was great in Frequency.
Yeah, didn't James Caviezel star with him in that too? I think.
Yep, Jim Caviezel was in that one too.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
But in this movie, he was pure lead. Did a great job with Sean Connery's Draco, where Draco was just a voice, or was basically a voice. And I remember seeing a news report back when this movie was being, or shortly after its release, where Dennis Quaid was acting against ping pong balls when talking to Draco. And I'm like, that's how they did it back then, folks. That's how they did it 30 odd years ago.
Well, that's Ian McKellen did it with the Balrog scene, and he was doing that with a ball on a stick. And you see what you get. And you saw what you got with Randy Quaid or Dennis Quaid in this, and he nailed it.
Yep. And Sean Connery, as I said, he is one of my favorite actors. I will not lie and say that I have seen all of his films. I have not, but he is my favorite Bond. He is I loved him in this movie, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He is in my favorite film, Finding Forrester, as the titular character. He has done so many great roles, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Alone
I think
in the
that...
Untouchables.
Yep. I mean, he is just a brilliant actor. And y'all can say whatever you want about some of the stuff that he has been accused of and whatnot. It doesn't faze me. When I was in high school, we had an English project in which we had to do an intro to our favorite celebrity. And when I say that Sean Connery is my favorite celebrity, I mean it, because that was the intro I wrote an intro for him. And Sean isn't even his real name. That was his stage name, Sean Connery. Mm-hmm. His real name is Thomas Connery. And yes, he has also been knighted Sir Sean Connery or Sir Thomas Connery.
I think he should have stuck with his real name. That would have kicked ass.
Yep,
Thomas Connery as James
Tom
Bond.
Connery or Thomas Connery. Yeah, there you go.
That could have worked. Anyway, moving on.
Ping pong balls. Yes, ping pong balls on metal little rods. But yeah, to think that when Dennis Quaid is pouring his heart out to a dead dragon, he's looking at 2 orange ping pong balls.
Yeah. And Julie Christie.
And yep, Julie Christie.
As Queen Aislinn.
Yep, she was fucking brilliant. Dina Meyer.
Dina Meyer as I can't remember her character's name now. Kara. Actually Kara.
Cara,
It's
Tara. Once called
Cara.
Carol in the film. But
And
yeah,
David Thewlis is Einan. David Thewlis.
Yep.
I know a lot of people were probably first introduced to him in Harry Potter, but this was my introduction to David Thewlis, and I have always, I mean, this movie, Kingdom of Heaven, obviously Harry Potter. He's done a lot of stuff there as current. He's always been awesome, but this is the first movie that really introduced us to David Thewlis and his brilliance as an actor.
Yep. And
and Jason Isaacs.
Yep, Jason Isaacs was also in this. Plus, what's his name? Who
Brian
played
Thomas?
Brock? Yeah, Brian Thomas, who played Brock. I mean, there is just so many great actors in this movie, and a lot of people don't even realize it. But the wonderful thing about this movie, yeah.
Go ahead.
Fun
little fact,
go ahead.
Brian. Well, real quick. Fun little fact: Brian Thomas was actually in the 2 pilot episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He played the Lieutenant Vampire under the Master.
Yep, he did.
And the Judge in season 2.
Yep, he did. And I do remember those, but yeah. This movie, it takes place in the 900s, late 900s AD, and it's not to be year 984 to 996, due to 12 years later.
Yeah,
and this movie has so many emotional spots to it, and thank you very much, Sakura. But yeah, this movie has so many freaking emotional spots, like the beginning when Dennis Quaid gives his vow to Draco. I serve the Father only for the sake of the Son. All my hopes rest on him. Forgive a doubting fool. Call when you need of me. Ask what you will of me. My sword and service are yours. And I also love the sword, or the continuity they put in that. When he brings up the sword, you see the claw marks in his sword that were when he yanked the sword out of Draco's hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just goes to show that they actually cared about continuity even back in the 90s, which is not easy. Oh my God, Riot. Shame on you.
Riot? What the hell,
Shame
child? Child?
Obviously kidding, but yeah, Riot, you need to go and watch this movie. Like, seriously, you need to go and watch that movie, girl.
Yes.
But yes, this movie, oh my God, it has such great comedy to it. There is a couple of shots that are repeat shots, like when Draco's going behind the waterfall. You see that very shot twice in the film. One when he's actually hunting Draco, and one when Einan is coming close.
You mean when he's fighting Bowen?
Yeah, before he arrives, when he says, "Be careful, he's coming," and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I also
go ahead.
I also like how getting another message here. Yep. And I also like how when he finally reaches Draco to fight him in the waterfall, and he throws the spear, and he's like, "Ha ha!" He's like, "Is that the best you could do?" And then he snaps it, and he's like, "Catch!" Whips the spear pieces out. And I also
like, tosses.
He tosses a freaking on horseback skeleton of a knight. Yeah. He's like, "That's what's left of the last dragon slayer that tangled with me. If I were you, I'd quit while I was ahead."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit. And that's when Pete Postlethwaite's looking at the head, and he's like, "Ah!"
The funny thing is, Peter Postlethwaite's character, Brother Gilbert of Glockenspur, or just Brother Gilbert, when the fight between Bowen and Draco first kicks off, and then you see Draco go into the waterfall, and then you do see that recycled shot later. Brother Gilbert is sitting on Draco's head, and you're wait a minute, rocks don't have eyes. Something's not right here. And then you realize, oh crap, dragons can camouflage themselves. And then Draco finally gets up, and
because he keeps jabbing him with a quill.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a dragon. It probably doesn't really hurt him or anything. It's more of an annoyance that the
A
brother
tickle,
Gilbert's
yeah,
saying on his head.
because he shudders. Yeah, he shudders. He's like, the pet or the quill is mightier than the. And he's like, and then he starts standing up.
Well, and the whole opening fight between Bowen and Draco, great comedic timing with this. Obviously they had him on a crane dragging him through a forest, and then they had the CGI shots edited in later of Draco. He's like, "How are you enjoying the ride so far?"
Oh yeah, and when he smashes into the tree, that was another reused
Oh.
shot right after the impact because it hits and then he turns around, but then it zooms in and shows the very same thing again and again.
And again.
I love that. Yeah.
And then eventually Bowen figures out how to stall him and hooks his the saddle into into a tree nook, and Draco goes, "Yikes!" I'm like,
yeah,
you're Sir Sean Connery. You're playing a dragon that's 2 or 3 times the size of this knight, and you're saying yikes?
Well,
this doesn't
how
seem
would you
right.
feel if you're moving at high speeds and then suddenly your leg is literally like yanked?
Yeah, no, I get it. I get
pretty
it.
much out of pretty much almost out of socket or if you think about it.
Yeah, no, I'm nitpicky a little here.
I know, I go, but I also like how this movie, it really does delve into emotional scenes, like how Einan, now older, after he got half a heart from Draco, is rather cruel, and he essentially tells Bowen, he's like, "You taught me to fight. I took what I needed from you."
Yeah.
And that's all I cared about. I vomited up these words that you taught to me because I couldn't stomach them, because I knew it was what you wanted to hear. The kid was always fucking cruel. You see it at the beginning of the movie when he's younger, when Brock commands them to watch his father in battle. And he's like, "I wish we were down there." "No, you don't." "Yes, I do." And
that's battle,
you see
that's
how, you'll know the difference between battle and butchery. And then when his father is laying there dying and he grabs the crown and his father tries stopping him, he literally says, "Die, it's mine." Telling his own father to fucking just die. And it's like, are you really, man? I mean, that just shows the character of that.
It does.
Of and that character,
Well, the interesting thing they did, I know it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but they had Einan's character dressed all in white. They had Bowen obviously dressed all in black. It was a flipping of the normal parallel. The good guy always dresses in white. The bad guy always dresses in black. And of course, this movie was produced by Dino De Laurentiis, a big producer back in the 70s and the 80s and 90s and so on. It was also a producer on the David Lynch Dune film, obviously, for those that might remember that. Or no, that was Raphael. That was Raphael De Laurentiis. It wasn't. No, that was Dino. That was Dino De Laurentiis. That was the producer on that one. Never mind. Getting bogged down. Sorry.
One of the things I love. Name. Sexy goth girl. There. Now you can recognize her again.
Oh, it's all right. Me and Skoom, you just had to tell me who you were, so it's all right. Thank you for telling me either way. Yeah, Xavier Pierce, I still laugh when Draco's asking, "Are we having fun yet?"
Yep.
Well, the audience definitely was, because I remember going to see this in theaters with Mother Ambassador at the time, because, well, I grew up watching Sean Connery's movies, primarily James Bond and so on. He made a cameo appearance in The Longest Day as a Scottish infantryman on one of the beaches of D-Day. But Dennis Quaid, he was a selling point. I have always been a sucker for a redhead, hence why I married Madam Ambassador. And Dina Meyer was obviously in this, also famous for Starship Troopers.
Yep.
But the whole opening sequence from when Einan is a kid and they have to save his life and they take him back to the castle. I have to admit, the set design for this movie, particularly with the castles and everything, you have the very what we might consider a more traditional castle that Einan builds, and you have a somewhat more less traditional castle that we see at the beginning of the movie. And then you see the ruined castle that eventually gets restored or anything, or well, I'm not even sure if it's
Yeah.
the same castle, to be honest with you. It doesn't even look like the same castle per se because the battlements look completely different because the one that the
Yep.
Einan and Bowen were fighting on, the top of it was more circular. The castle that they rebuilt, the one tower was completely square. So I don't even know if it's the
Mhm.
same castle, but regardless,
Well,
either
he said he was going to rebuild the ruins.
yeah. So
And
and then
so,
rebuild.
yeah, 12 years. Yeah. And they
Yeah.
were still
Okay.
rebuilding.
Yeah, they were. So but the ideas of good and evil of a knight who is hell who upholds the old code of Camelot of King Arthur and so on. It's something that everybody can resonate with because everybody knows a little bit of the the legend of King Arthur and so on. We discussed this last week with Excalibur,
Yep.
and
Avalon.
when yeah, and when they finally get to go to what I think was a nicely imagined set design for the island of Avalon, where obviously in this version Arthur is laid to rest. He's not just resting and recovering from his wounds and waiting to come make his return. So I love the set design on that particular part as well. So anyway, moving on.
And or not to give too much away because there are some people who haven't seen this movie. I mean, I
Right.
love yeah. But I love the comedy that is attached to this film as well as
Mm-hmm.
the emotionality in the dramatic scenes as well.
Yes.
David Thewlis plays a very, very evil character,
Yeah.
and there is a connection between him and the dragon due to the heart, which I'm not going to give too much into. Yeah, I have found the ultimate. Oh, jeez, here's another pizza temptation.
Hey, Annihilus, long
But
time no
yeah,
see, buddy.
good to see you, buddy. But I love how this movie was done. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and the special effects, the digital dragon and whatnot. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
you could definitely tell that it's CG, but it back in the 90s, folks, CG was terrible. This movie had decent CGI, had good shadow content onto the character or onto a CG character, had good depth, had good character or good texture.
Yes.
Especially a wet dragon. Sink,
Yes.
sink. I can't.
And
It doesn't go any deeper.
well, and
I love that line.
I have to admit the one scene when they do the first little operation where Bowen slays Draco and he falls into the lake and then he comes up several miles later and he sees a flock of sheep sitting grazing on a cliffside. He's like,
Oh,
"Oh, hello." And
oh.
I remember even to this day, me and Mother Mass were talking about it after we got out of the theater. She's like, it almost reminds you of a dog poking its head out of the water and spotting something it wants to chase. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yep.
I do to this day. I remember that we would talk about the movies after. Obviously, we would get done seeing them in the theater, and they the thing you have to remember, you had Phil Tippett, who was a very big name in the special effects field and was working in, I think he was still working at ILM at the time. I mean, you have to remember, Phil Tippett helped a lot with some of the special effects for the original trilogy, at least Empire and
Oh
Return of the
yeah.
Jedi. And I
Tippett
think he did
Studios. Yeah.
help. Yeah, and I think he also worked on the prequels, and he worked on a lot of other productions. Obviously, this one as well because he did good work. People knew this, so they brought him in. And Rob Cohen, a fairly unknown director at the time, but he did a good job with this movie. he obviously, the story that this is being told here is somewhat of a basic one, but they layered in enough emotionality, enough humor, and enough fantasy to make it a compelling action adventure movie for what would be, well, the mid 90s. And it worked. It was actually, from what I recall, it was successful in the box office. Now, I will say they have done several direct-to-video sequels of Dragonheart. I have not seen any of them because, honestly,
It's like 5 of them. I've seen
something
most
like
of
that.
them. I think I've seen
I
all of
have.
them.
I haven't. I've only seen Dragonheart because, honestly, there are some movies that don't need a continuation. They don't need a sequel, and I think this
They
was
don't.
one story that didn't need to be continued in the direct-to-video
No.
market. It
No.
really didn't,
Be-
because honestly, it cheapens the story, it cheapens the characters, and you know, I will say this: the way they handled kind of the romantic chemistry between Bowen and Kara, they didn't overplay it. You could tell he was attracted to her, she was attracted to him, and so on. But they didn't overdo it too much, and we'll discuss this a little bit more tomorrow afternoon and everything with the one of the films that we're going to be discussing, The Relic in particular. But I like the idea that, yeah, you have a little bit of a romance between your leading guy and your leading lady.
Attention. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Attention.
you don't overdo it. And in this movie, they didn't overdo it, and it worked. And,
Yeah.
Julie Christie always brings a lot of grace and style and just that old Hollywood charm and everything, or glamour, to whatever production she was on. I mean, whether it was this or whether she was in Troy, where she played Achilles' mother, who was actually a minor goddess herself, Julie Christie was always a win. I'm not sure if I don't remember if she's still alive or if she is. She's up in her years, but even in her later years, she still looked good. Everything, and the way they costume her in this, her costuming mirrored um, Einen's
Adult.
costuming. Yeah, but in her case, she deserved the white costuming. Einen
84
didn't.
years old. Yeah. She is 84 years old and still alive.
Wow. Okay. Well, right on. Great. I am actually I am happy to hear that, because like I said, I've always liked Julie Christie. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I've kind of rambled here enough. Anything else you want to touch upon, Orange?
The score of this movie is also iconic because it
Oh,
has been
yeah.
done. It has been done in so many. Mulan's trailer, the original Mulan, not
Mm-hmm.
the one that they did now or
Mm-hmm.
back in the 2020s, but Mulan's or the Mulan trailer from the cartoon. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as well as many other movies, it was
Mm-hmm.
such iconic music. When I'm like winding down after a long day, this is one of or that to the stars bit
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things I play because it's so emotional and so uplifting to a degree as well that it can really relieve your tension and whatnot.
Yes.
Orange Hat, did you hear the behind the scenes story of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie? I've heard some stuff from
Yeah.
behind the
As
scenes of
have
that
I.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
I
As
can't,
have I.
or you'd have to be more specific as to which thing you're referencing. But when it comes to this movie, yeah, the music is so great. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
John Williams like, but it's
It
not hit,
is.
or it's definitely not Williams.
Yeah. One
But
other minor note I did want to bring up: when they are on the island of Avalon, and Bowen's out there in the rain in the midst of the stone circle of the statues.
mhm.
The actor they got to do the voice of Arthur was actually, I looked this up and everything. I was watching it on Amazon Video and everything. It always has an X-ray that shows you who's in the scene or whatever. That voice
Yeah,
was John Gielgud, very well known old school actor back in the day. Did a lot of Shakespeare productions back in the day. He actually has a cameo appearance in the Kenneth Branagh production of Hamlet, which is by all measures the definitive version of Hamlet that everybody who is a Shakespeare fan or a fan of Hamlet should ever watch. You'd have to look him up and everything, but John Gielgud did the voice of Arthur in that scene. I think I cannot think of a better actor to voice Arthur Pendragon.
The Kenneth Branagh Hamlet, did he have white hair?
Yes.
Yep.
That also
I saw that in school.
That also had Julie Christie as Hamlet's mother.
Yep.
Another favorite.
Saw that in school. I saw two different versions of Hamlet in school because we actually had to do comparisons.
Yeah.
It was the Mel Gibson one and the Kenneth Branagh one.
Kenneth Branagh one's the definitive one. Mel Gibson's is a. It's not even close to the spirit of the play.
Yeah. But getting back to this one,
yes,
folks, Dragonheart is also a movie that you cannot watch without shedding a tear, either in the beginning or by the end of the movie. If you have dry eyes, like a medical condition of dry eyes, this movie can cure you, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you do not cry at the end of the movie, I'm going to question your emotional quotient, your EQ, because there's just no way. I can't, folks. When I am in a movie, when I am watching a movie, I am in that movie. I am emotionally invested and just in that movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to sometimes pull myself out of this one because of how invested I can get into that movie, because of how really heavy the emotions can get, especially at the end of this movie. Because it gets really heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, if you don't cry, my eyes are stinging. My nose is getting the telltale tears. Is giving off the telltale tear sign right now.
And if I might do a little bit of a deep dive as into why, at least from my perspective, Draco, the relationship between Draco and Bowen, but Draco specifically, the idea that a character that has lived in mythology and fantasy for centuries, literally, dragons, one of the most iconic characters from beings from mythology, from fantasy, whatever way you want to categorize it. The idea that dragons were there at the time of Arthur's kingdom, of Arthur Pendragon, his last name, the word dragon is in it, Pendragon.
Yeah. And another fun, or I do want to ask you a question pertaining to this movie. Sorry to get away from what you were saying.
No, it's okay.
Hey, Ancient One, good to see you. In this movie, have you noticed that both Draco and Bowen fall from the old code only to come back to it? It's sort of a redemption story.
Yes. I have
because as they both are, or they both have this agreement with each other. I'm not going to go further than that. All right, hold on, bub. Yes, I saw your question, and yes, I did see Johnny Mnemonic years ago, Vanya. But yeah, and have a good night, Riot. But this movie, yes, they do kind of move away from it in order to have their agreement, but end up basically going back to or having their redemption due to, or having what's the best way to do it? A deceptive agreement, an agreement of deception, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
And I do like how they bring that. Did you notice that both of them found redemption in the end of the movie?
Yes. Well, because
Yep.
here's what I was, and that actually does lean into what I was the point I was about, one of the points I was about to bring up. The idea that a dragon has a soul, and that soul can either be saved or damned by the acts that it carries out in life. I would say is a semi, or if not a full-on Christian theme. Now, whether that is deliberate or not, that can be left up to the interpretation of the person watching the movie. Me, I take it a little bit more on the Christian side of things because, well, I am a devout Catholic, Christian, whatever way you want to categorize it. But with what you were mentioning, the idea that they move away from the old code, even though Draco never really does per se, but Bowen most definitely does when he goes on his vendetta against killing all the dragons because of what he perceives the dragon's heart did to Einan. Because he is, and I will say this, I'm not saying it to diminish or deride the character. Bowen is living in a little bit of denial about who Einan really is. His Einan's mother, not so much, but Bowen, I think, was living in a bit of denial for a time, and then when he finally fights Einan, that they're at the in the river behind where Draco's hiding behind the waterfall, and then Bowen finally realizes, holy crap, this kid I've been training all the majority of his life was in fact a malicious monster and evil to the core, just like his old man was. And he says that to Draco in one of their conversations. He's like, I think he said it to Kara actually. You eventually see your dreams die and you hold on to them even after they have turned to ash. But through Kara, and I think a little bit through Brother Gilbert, but definitely through Draco, and them going to Avalon, and you have that very emotional scene where Bowen is amongst the stone circles of the knights, and you see that glowing image of Arthur there, and you have John Gilgood reciting the old code, and it restokes something in Bowen. And I think Draco brought them there, but particularly Bowen there, because Bowen was maybe not a direct member of the Knights of the Round Table, but he was a knight that still held to that belief, to that code. And I think Draco was trying to revitalize that noble spirit within Bowen. Obviously, he brought them there to escape from the village of people that were going to eat them, the pig farmers. But I think also Draco brought him there because he knew that one, it was a place of respite that they most definitely needed, but also he knew that Bowen needed to be there to see the grave of Arthur, of the knights, and so on. And whatever way I don't think it's ever actually fully explained why that particular event happened, whether it is some sort of magic that did take place, whether it was something that Draco did either directly or indirectly, wherever the case may be. That was when Bowen was like, okay, we're going to rally the villagers, we're going to train them, we're going to arm them, and we're going to go after Einan, and we're going to bust his head. So, but that's my comments.
Okay, just making sure. But yeah, the one thing that I notice is that when they go away from the old code during this agreement, you notice how their fortunes actually start to decline a bit, and how things do start to get worse a little bit due to the fact that, well, if you move away from what you originally intended, you will start to have difficulty.
Yes.
And whatnot. And once they redeem themselves into what they were doing, you find that things will start happening a lot better. So yes, this movie, objectively speaking, I will say that this movie is about an 8.5 out of 10. Due to the fact that there are a couple of errors, there's a couple of slips here and there, like Dennis calling her Carol instead of Kara.
Mm-hmm.
which was I'm like, who's Carol?
Yeah,
Um,
I get it.
but yeah, then there's or plus a couple of lines that could have been a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit overacted, so to speak. But other than that,
Mm.
subjectively, this movie is pure 10 out of 10. I love it. It's emotional. It's a great story. It really does pull at the heartstrings in all the right ways.
Yes.
So,
Well,
yeah.
before I
Dina
get my
Meyer,
score,
hold on.
mm-hmm. Go
I
ahead.
do want
Go
to
ahead.
I do want to talk to Vanya here. Dina Meyer didn't capitalize on her fame. Dina Meyer didn't really get much in the way of fame, or pretty much after Starship Troopers, she went low or down to um, TV movies and TV shows. She didn't really get a huge boost of fame after Dragonheart and Starship Troopers because basically they were just dumb fun movies at the time.
Yeah.
Although this movie should have definitely gotten awards.
Yes. One thing I do want to comment on Peter Postlethwaite. I know we've talked about Brother Gilbert a little bit, but it could have been just seen as simple comic relief. But his character, particularly when they start training, even though that particular scene where he's trained with when Bowen's training him with a bow and arrow, and he nails the dummy both in the head and the crotch, and Bowen looks at him, he's like, "Brother Gilbert, you're a natural." And when during the battle scene, he's up there in one of the trees and everything with other archers, and he just cannot bring himself to shoot. And then he finally figures out a way to do it. He uses the one trap that they set up with the log that swings down and smashes a bunch of Vinland's knights off their horses. And then
Yep.
he starts quoting. I know it maybe seem a bit cheesy, but you know what? As a Christian, I can say it applies. When he shoots the one knight in the butt in the ass and says, "Turn the other
Turn the
cheek,
other cheek,
brother."
yeah, turn the other cheek, brother.
And
I
then when he
love
nail,
that.
yeah, I did too. But then he has that more heavy moment where he shoots Einan and he says, "Thou shalt not kill," because he
Yeah.
knows what Einan has done. But unfortunately, unbeknownst to everybody except for Draco, it causes Draco to be captured when he shoots Einan with the arrow. Obviously,
Yeah.
almost smack dead in the heart, and it should have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
but
brother Drake, or in that small spoiler here, folks.
Mhm.
But in that moment, brother Gilbert actually believes that because it wasn't, or thou shall not kill being part of the commandments,
Mhm.
he feels that saying that kind of accidentally spared Einan. He wasn't aware of the connection between Draco and Einan.
but but he does recognize that Einan is, for all intents and purposes, evil. That he is taking something evil out of the world. Yes, he is a man of the cloth. Yes, he is a monk. He has most likely taken a vow of nonviolence, but he has broken that vow most likely, which can happen. Obviously, I don't know if he's broken with the cloister the cloister that he was a part of, and he's just out in the world now, or if he was always out in the world. Either way, but Brother Gilbert's character brings, yes, obviously levity, but also brings some, I think, intelligence and some warmth, and obviously is a representation of when a person of faith can and does take up arms in what can, by all metrics, be considered a righteous war.
Yeah. But what are your
Scores.
scores for this movie? Yeah.
I would have to say I don't do the different levels that you do, and that's your prerogative. This is mine, and we all get along just fine. I'd
Yeah.
have to say this is 9.5 from me because it hits on every beat that a good fantasy movie should. And it hits on every beat that a good action adventure movie should. The cast is top notch. I mean, Sean Connery, this will honestly be one of his more iconic roles now that he has left us and everything and has departed this world. It's a character that we all know him for, we all love him for, and we all appreciate him for. And to Sir Thomas Connery, wherever he may be, we say thank you.
Indeed. Well, folks, with that, we are going to wrap this up. Thank you so much to everybody who came in. Vanya,
Yes.
Pierce, Ancient One, Raya Kitty, Sakura, everybody
Goth
who
Girl.
was in here. Mama School, Sexy Goth Girl, yep, or Mama School, Price is Right, and everybody else. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you guys want to support the channel even more, like the videos, watch the videos, share the videos that I do, share the streams out, share the link to my channel out and whatnot. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subs before the end of this year. Hopefully I will get there. Tomorrow I will be on Ambassador's channel at 3 p.m. my time.
2 p.m. my time.
2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, to discuss the Relic and
Count of Monte Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo, the Jim Caviezel, Guy Pearce version. Sorry, I forgot.
That's okay.
But yeah, and then Tuesday I will be doing the final top four, or final top four pick of 2024. Spoilers: it's not Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine was my 5th favorite of the year. So with that, thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful night, and always remember to stay humble. Peace.
Indeed.
Are you done? Are you done?